With the country obviously focused on trying to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 coronavirus while waiting for enough tests, there's also a rush to come up with a vaccine that can be used to help our bodies fight against it. Experts testifying before Congress say not to expect the vaccine to be on the market for at least a year to maybe a year and a half, and that several companies have vaccines under development to work against coronavirus. One of those companies is based here in Houston. John Price, the co-chair, president, CEO of Greffex Inc, has said that his company has completed the process of trying to get that vaccine ready now to take the next step. So correct. What would you say is happening in that process now? How soon are we ready to go with this in terms of the next phase?
So the next phase, we're ready tomorrow. Okay. And that next phase is the testing, the small animal testing, to make sure that the vaccine is effective and safe. And so while we do our own internal studies for that and prove it up with the 14 vaccines we've made, every time that you go to another vaccine, you do external testing. And so that takes time and money, roughly 4 weeks. But we're ready to go to submit to testing now. And
the government pretty much is in charge of the testing process over the next, what, 8 months with the next phase?
Absolutely. The first phase you would look at is the small animal testing, the mice testing, if you will, and that's 4 weeks. And that's 100% in the hands of the government, because you don't want the company that does the testing to be the same company that makes the vaccine.
Right.
So that's the first stage. And then you go into human clinical trials.
That process going forward now, how soon, how early in this process did you and your company actually start working on trying to come up with a vaccine for this particular virus?
So that's interesting, because I came back from Vietnam in January, and I was reading the newspapers there. We were doing some development for vaccines themselves. I saw that there was this crisis occurring in China. We hadn't yet called it Wuhan. Came back to our laboratory in Denver and said, could we have a vaccine for this? And my business partner, Dr. Starr, said, we're already working on that. We tend to be prescient. We think ahead. We have a world map that says, here's what the crises might be. And so what we do is think about what will happen, what do you need next? So we were working on it, and it takes us 4 weeks to make a vaccine.
Your company was set up almost for this reason, was it not? I mean, one of the things that this company does is
make vaccines. We make novel vaccines for threats. We like to think them of threat vaccines. You've heard of swine flu, of course, but we started making a swine flu vaccine several years ago. We have everything from Ebola to avian flu, and so what we do is we create our own stockpile of vaccines, and I hate to say put in the refrigerator, but we prepare them so that if a crisis breaks out, we have something that we're prepared to introduce into a government testing.
So was Dr. Fauci correct? I heard him talking to Congress saying about the phases of this development, and it'd be about a year or so. How soon, in your estimation, and if you're optimistic about the process of your vaccine, how soon would it possibly be, if everything goes well, possibly be ready to go ahead and give to people who need it?
So I'm not going to contradict Dr. Fauci, because the standard is 12 to 18 months from now.
Okay.
What I would tell you is, if you gave me an unlimited checkbook and unlimited time and regulations that were appropriate for safety reasons, probably late fall, probably first quarter of next year.
And this whole process is set up so once there's a vaccine available, it is available to do what in terms of how it fights coronavirus?
Well, all vaccines do the same thing. All vaccines simply make your body aware of this antigen that's in the community. And a vaccine's job is to get your body to create an automatic immune response. So when you see the real thing, your body goes, nah, seen that, don't have to make you sick.
Right.
And that's really all a vaccine does. It prepares your body to see something that's going to be in their future. And it wards it off, because your body just says, no.
I think I read somewhere that your company said something about being able to provide and distribute this vaccine for free.
There's an interesting way. I've had that question a lot. So break it down this way. The average cost of a vaccine is, let's say, $10 a dose. Let's say we can make it for $1 a dose. And so the question is, what you want to be able to do is produce a vaccine, certain vaccines, that belong to the community, not your company, all right? So I could give you a better example, which is, let's assume we made an AIDS vaccine. Right? How much should I sell the AIDS vaccine for? All right. The answer is, we have a responsibility as vaccine manufacturers to protect the world. So when I say give away, we essentially say cover our cost, whatever that is. When you cover our cost, we can distribute that, and then you choose who your distribution channel is. If you don't choose to go with the WHO or HHS, you might do it individually as a company.
Well, that's a really interesting and welcome philosophy. I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck on this process going forward.
Thank you.
Obviously, a lot of people are depending and hoping that you can do this. A lot of other people are in the pipeline.
They're all working as well. Correct.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will do that. Thank you.
Just ahead.